All right, we should be good. Do you hear me?
Gotcha. Can you hear me now?
Perfect. I can, yeah. Hey, everybody. Thanks
Great.
for joining us. Appreciate your time today. Sorry about the delay there. Welcome to Sales and Cigars with your host, Patrick Montgomery. That's me at ISP Group, Innovative Selling Partners. Welcome. We have special guests today from the east side of Metro Detroit at Construct Team. We have the CEO and founder, Joe Cipriano, ladies and gentlemen. Everyone give him a round of applause. Welcome,
Hey,
Joe. How you doing
Joe.
today?
I'm great. Great. Doing well. Thanks for having me
Yeah,
today.
no, it's great. It's my pleasure completely. Yeah, we're doing, maybe 1 to 3 of these a month here at Smokies in Bloomfield Hills. We are at Woodward and Square Lake at Smokies, Detroit's finest humidor. If you ask me, I would say they have
Place
the
is
best
amazing.
humidor. Yeah, they do have a pretty great selection. All of my favorite cigars for sure. And we're going to have a good discussion about cigars today. We're going to have a good discussion about Joe and his company at Construct Team, his life, what brought him to where he is today as
Oh
a
no.
leader in Detroit. And, so I'm really glad to have you. But, to get started
Appreciate.
first, can't forget our sponsors, Fresca. No, I'm kidding.
Very good though.
But it is 0 calories, Fresca. If you want to hire me,
Excellent.
Fresca,
No
let's
sugar.
go. But we do have to talk and kick the time off here with
Yeah, let's do it.
a discussion on cigars. Real quick, I have some of my favorites here. As you can see, we have a good little selection here. This is not contraband. It's all legal. No Cubans. Are Cubans legal now? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
think so. Thanks, Obama. No, I'm kidding. No politics, Joe. Remember?
Hey, if it might work, it might fit. You don't know.
So we have some good ones here. I was telling Joe about these earlier, these Oliva cigars. These are our machine-made cigar, really just good stuff. I'm probably going to end up smoking this today. This is a Foundation. Foundation makes these Tabernacle. This is actually, I think, 7.25-inch Churchill. This is a dark, full-flavored, full-bodied cigar. That's the kind of cigar I like right there. Foundation's
nice.
probably
Very
my
nice.
favorite cigar. Actually, Paul, the owner, Paul and Pete Essa are the owners of Smokies here. And actually, he talked me into this. I was going to have the Churchill, but Paul talked me into the Plasencia today. So I think I'm going to do the Toro Plasencia by Almafuerte. This is, I believe, a hand-rolled cigar. Just a really good, full-bodied, deep flavored cigar. And I know that Paul also was able to give Joe a little tour of the humidor and take him through and give him some suggestions on cigars. So what do you got over there?
It was fantastic. Yeah, he gave me an Avo XO. Did I say that right? Mild, real smooth, and that's what I like. Just to make it nice and easy, not too hard. Probably smoke a couple of these in a night.
Yeah, there you go. We might have a couple before we finish today, right?
No, this is great. It's great. I really love it, and I appreciate the cigar, and I'm looking forward to the conversation.
So
we might need a bourbon too. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think Paul has some.
We might have to pull it out.
Paul might have some bourbon behind the counter, so. But I'm not drinking, guys. Don't worry.
Okay.
Oh, but you go ahead, man.
I don't know. The conversation might get crazy. I don't know. We might have to not do that
tonight. We'll save that for our Friday night podcast. Yeah. That we never air, right? But we do have to have the ceremonial lighting and cutting. And like I said, I'm sticking with Paul's recommendation here with the Plasencia. And don't get me wrong, I smoke these quite a bit. It was just a really good suggestion by Paul today, and I'm always down to have the Plasencia by Almafuerte. And we're going to do the cutting here and lighting. Joe is actually going to go with the straight cut.
Let's do it. Yeah, I'm going to go with the straight cut.
I got the V cut. I'm partial to the V. And then we'll go with it and go ahead. Let's cut them and then we'll light them.
Just cut it and light it.
Yep. Now we'll do
all right.
The lighting. We got to have the music, please. Greg, music. No, I'm kidding.
Cue the lights.
Come on, man. You were supposed to. Yeah. He's running around trying to find music now. Huh?
Okay,
So we're
now
going to do
later.
the ceremonial lighting.
Apparently,
you can see we have this nice spread of really good humidors. And they got the LE Blue case over there, which those are really good humidors. That one on the bottom, I think, is 12 grand. So, LE Blue makes really good stuff. And the cool thing is, my wife found one at an estate sale in Bluefield Hills last week for $150.
Done.
It's about 5 grand. I said, we'll take it. We'll take 2. You got 2. And I took a pair of old Ferragamos. No, I'm kidding.
Why not? They'd last forever. Resole them.
Right.
I think lighter. I think my lighter is out. I think it's.
Here, well, let me.
You light yours.
I'll be unselfish, and we're gonna light yours first.
Okay.
I'll be right over in Studio B. Hold on one second.
Here we go.
Here, I'll let you do
it. All right, perfect. All right, there we go. I'm sure there'd be a lot of comments on how I light this cigar.
No one's looking. No one cares. There's no wrong way to light a cigar, actually, as long as it's being lit. That's the only rule.
Looks good to me.
And for anyone that might be watching us on TikTok, we always get banned on TikTok for smoking cigars, so screw TikTok. I can already tell this is a...
Maybe if we danced, we'd be on TikTok. Do a little dance, Yeah. They'd keep us up.
Let me get my Gen Z kids, and they'll make those videos for me. So we always like to have really, laid back conversation here at Sales and Cigars. We like to shoot the shit, and we like to learn about our guests' life and what they do, where they're from, all that good stuff. I just want to create a little context to the conversation today. I met Joe probably about a couple months ago. Joe invited me out to lunch in the East Side at Pete's.
Yeah.
Of all places. Pete's Place? Is that
no,
just Pete's.
Paul's. Mr. Paul's.
Mr. Paul's.
It's an old, favorite staple, East Side, old school, feel like you walk back into the 70s. Good stuff.
I don't know if they have an Instagram account, but there's their plug. I'll tag them in it.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, no, it's a great place. We had a wonderful time. You walk in and it feel like a bar, like Cheers. We knew everybody. I knew everybody that was in the bar. You walked in, a lot of business folks.
Let me set the stage too. I think we were meeting at noon on a Tuesday, right? Yep. I walked in there and I thought all the lights were off, but I saw a full dining room full of people and a lot of really good, scents and good food and, really good vibe. But it did feel like I was in an old school kind of Italian, bar or something. It was really good.
You feel like Jimmy Hoffa's in the back room. It just it feels like it.
How long's that place been there?
I hear people say 40 years, 40 plus years. Very well-known family, been in the area for many years, and the place, frankly, looks like it was. It's been there for 40 years, maybe 50. I don't know.
It looks like it's been there for 100 to me.
I could have been. I don't know.
Did they? I think they had velvet seats. So maybe. At least leather, right?
It feels like. I feel like I'm rating a scene out of The Irishman, right? So, or The Godfather.
That was probably filmed there, actually.
For sure.
I wouldn't doubt it. It's a really, really cool aesthetic. Food is decent. I got the fish and chips. But most importantly, we had a good conversation over lunch on that Tuesday afternoon a couple months ago. And we talked a lot about your business.
Yep.
You're a really open and vulnerable guy. I appreciate that.
Well, I don't know any other way to be. I just lay it out. Be honest, be real, share. And we did that day. We had a good time, got to know each other. And as a result, here we are, and we've been talking ever since.
And you are from the area, correct?
I am. Grew up East Side and lived from Warren in the late 70s.
Warren, you said?
Yeah, in the Warren. Lived there through the 70s. Lived out in Washington Township before it was popular. In the 1980s, and about mid-80s moved to Clinton Township and planted some roots. Graduated high school, Chippewa Valley, go Big Reds, go Chips. and that was in 1988. And my life continued on the east side. Married in '95, moved to Grosse Pointe, and then here I am today. Uh, you know, still on the east side, doing business.
And what lake do you live on out there?
Live on Lake St. Clair.
And
Lake
what's
St.
your
Clair.
address? No, I'm kidding. Don't say your address. We're gonna
It's
need
on
your
the
cell
lake.
phone number and your bank card too. By
It's
the
on
way,
the
now.
lake. No, it's a honestly, there's nothing better than waking up to a sunrise in the morning off Lake St. Clair. It's just beautiful. Just
Yeah.
beautiful.
So, are you looking at the east, looking out at the east as the sun rises, or what?
Facing Harson's Island. We're the farthest point east on the lake, and it's fantastic. We're between the Clinton River, and Metro Beach. Really fantastic. Honestly, it's almost like I feel like I'm in Fort Lauderdale, waking up every morning on the ocean. It's just beautiful.
So, your family's all from Michigan, born and raised.
Everybody born and raised
Parents,
here.
parents.
Parents. Yep. Yep. So my dad is Sicilian. My
Okay.
mom is 100% Lebanese. I grew up. My friends used to call me a Lego. Say I was a Lebanese Dago.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, and it was
Pencils.
good.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I grew up with some of the best food groups. So, Italian, Arabic, amazing Mediterranean food is just my favorite. I live on the perfect side of town for it because we have a great mix of food all over.
Right. So, what's the best Sicilian pizza around here?
Oh, wow, best Sicilian pizza.
Is that
Well,
like a thin crust Sicilian?
thin crust.
Thin, yeah.
It's hard. It's really hard to nail one place down, as long as it's a built-in stone oven, right?
Yeah,
You stone oven. I used to have one in my home. I actually had one built because
I
I grew
believe
up in
you.
grew up in the restaurant business. Love making pizzas. So if I would say the best pizza in town was the ones I used to make.
Oh my God.
And my family knows if they're listening, they know that they love my pizza. Thin crust,
You want a
Well,
good pizza, you go to Joe's.
yeah, that's it. So good stuff. I enjoy it.
So,
Love
do
it.
you prefer wood or coal ovens?
Well, I can't really say coal because I didn't cook on one, or
Oh, you
don't
did
know.
wood. Wood.
I had a wood burning stove in the house. So the wood burning stove, it would take about 4 hours to get it to the right heat, and it would pump out 15 to 20 pizzas after
Wow.
it reached about 800 degrees.
Do you have a lot of relatives around the area?
Always, yeah, always at the house. Yeah, big
That was-
parties, a lot of food, a lot of drink.
Nice. And
So-
so, how did you get into your business? I know. So you Chippewa Valley. You got out of high school. Did you start your business right away? I know you've been doing it for quite a while.
It's actually, I'm not going to say it's a long story, but it is. So, but we'll try to, let me shorten it up a little bit. Listen, if you went to Chippewa Valley in the 80s or even the 90s, if your name ended in a vowel, you were not in the minority. Your name ended in a vowel. Everybody in the whole place. So everybody was Italian in the trades, and my exposure was people in business. I grew up around. My dad was in the restaurant business. My grandfather owned a restaurant and a bar and a store. So I grew up experiencing all business in general. So I was always an entrepreneur. Went to high school, and many of my friends were all in business, or they worked in a family business. And because they were in a family business, I gelled with them. And I started out as a painter. Believe it or not, I started my construction career as a painter. It's actually a really cool story.
Let's hear it.
We
love stories.
So good stuff. I always worked, as a kid. My dad always had me at the restaurant business. I had the same ethnic background as a lot of people. Started working young. Worked in my dad's restaurant. As I was going through high school, I wasn't really into sports as much. But I had to work and make my own money. So here I am, Chippewa Valley. I got a job working across the street from my high school. There was a condo complex that Michael Churko was building and the Masheri family. They were building a whole bunch of condos and apartments across the street from Chippewa Valley at the time. I got a job after school for about $30 a night because I worked.
What grade was that?
I was a sophomore, and I think I did it my sophomore year, and I would leave school
16-ish.
16. Go across the street. The painter. It's funny. I was there for about 2 hours, and then everybody would leave. All the other painters would leave, and I would have to stay and work. And they would have me paint closets and beams in the basement. Well, what ended up happening, I was working every night. So I would be the person that would see the homeowners at the end of the night. And they asked me to paint the garages of the new construction builds. And I couldn't understand. I go, paint the garages? Why aren't they painted? Why are they leaving them unpainted? So I had a family. One family in particular offered me $200 in 1987, 86. Offered me $200 to paint a garage. They would buy the paint, and I would paint their garage for them at the end. I would go on a weekend. So what ended up happening is it spread through the entire complex. Everybody's like, there's this young kid. He paints garages for $200, and they were so excited.
Damn, that's expensive.
And so I said, this is fantastic. I'm only making $30 a night, and on a weekend I can make $200. It was amazing to me. So
you've been negotiating since you were 16.
Oh, it literally, and you can just now add on to the story. I did one garage, led to another garage, led to another one, and before you knew it, I was 10, 15 in the hole. And then the guy who hired me found out I was doing it because he wanted to know who was taking his work. But he didn't know it was me. He didn't know it was me. And his name, I don't know. Can I say his name?
It's up to you. I don't know. He's not
We'll
going to
just
be
call him
coming after
Sam.
my head.
We'll call him Sam. Actually, his name was Duridu.
Sam the butcher.
Sam the painter. Anyway, so he got really mad at me. He found out, got really upset, fired me, called me every Italian name in the book. Meanwhile, I had a stack of cash in my house. I used to keep it under my black and white TV. And I just stacked cash up. I was 16 years old. I was making all this money, and I didn't have anything to spend it on.
Did your parents know about the money?
Yeah. They were loving it. As a matter of fact, I used to help out with my mom a lot growing up. My parents were divorced. I helped my mom with all kinds of things growing up. And so before you know it, I got fired. I went back and painted out the whole community. I did all those garages way back. I literally took that money, built my business, $200 at a time, and then ended up building it into a painting company. When I turned 18 and I was allowed to open up a business and a bank account, the first thing I did. Partnered up with a friend of mine from high school. We created a company. Long story short, for about 4 to 5 years, we were nonstop painting, working through builders and right through high school, and we graduated and went on to paint all kinds of things. Some of our noteworthy places was Luciano's, Andiamo's. We did a lot of really fancy work, and that really spun my career into what it is today. Literally, and I could go on for a half hour on this, but the reality is I continued to work it, develop it, grow it, and it turned into a good living. When I got married in 1995, I said I'm going to leave the painting, hang up the brush, and then I moved on to started building and doing renovations and did a whole bunch of work after that. So it's pretty amazing, actually. And
great story. And ladies and gentlemen, because of that, you have Joe to thank for non-competes. That was the birth of non-compete agreements. And so, his boss was jaded ever since, and he drove him out of business. And I'd hate to tell his story. No, I'm kidding.
I can tell you, I'm sure he wasn't happy about it. But the funny part is I didn't even realize I was doing anything wrong. I didn't know. I go, well, they came to me. They were asking me to do it. So I didn't know any better. I didn't realize I was taking business from him because he wasn't painting the garages. I was the only one doing it. He wanted more money, of course, but
I mean, isn't that how a lot of really good ideas in businesses start, though? You see an opportunity where someone else is lagging, and then you capitalize on that opportunity. And, you know, I actually have signed non-competes in the past, and they're a pain in the ass, you know.
they are.
But they're hard to, they're kind of hard to, I guess, litigate against. So
they are.
But
they're there.
They're meant as kind of an element of fear, I think, once you leave
It is.
an organization,
It is.
you know.
You hope that people will look at it and not necessarily try to do it because they have a non-compete. You know, so they don't. It's like you said, a little bit of fear.
Yeah.
You know, of doing it. What could happen if they did do it?
What a great story. So, how did painting turn into property restoration?
Wow, another long story. However,
that's what we're here for.
This is what we're here for. Right? I got a lot of long stories. So ultimately, you know, a lot of years went by. So
your son over there?
My son just showed up. I have some of my staff here.
Hey guys.
Wave. We got the team.
I could just tell it was his son. I had to say something. That's not the one from New York. In New York, though.
No, this is my number one son. He's a Michigan State grad. Went out into corporate America and then worked his way back. Oh, I see they broke out a bottle.
There you go. There you go.
I might actually want one. Yeah. So, you know, back to the.
Oh, go ahead. I'm listening.
So back to the story. What I'm going to do is fast forward. I'll fast forward a little bit. 98.
Take your time. We got time. Don't worry about it.
98. I had my first son. 2000, second son. 2002, my daughter. So I had 3 beautiful kids. And I was actually doing some consulting work. I know this might sound weird, and I didn't really talk about this, but I genuinely
discussions a little about it. I mean,
yeah, I had a love for sharing knowledge. I had a love for speaking. I love to help out young people get good knowledge and develop themselves and move forward. Oh, here we go. I'm very thirsty, actually. Thank you. Oh, that's good. That's really good.
What do you got? Some wine? Some wine? Is it?
I'm going to say that's some wine. Yeah.
Okay. Now we're drinking
Very
wine, ladies and gentlemen.
Wine and cigars. Wine and cigars.
5 o'clock somewhere, right?
It's true.
5 o'clock in the east side, Detroit, right?
So, you know, obviously the story is deep. There's a lot of things that happened, but ultimately what happened is in 2004, I was traveling with the consulting firm that I was working with at the time, and I was burned out. I was traveling a lot. My kids were growing up, and I wanted to be home. And I decided at that time to make a change in my career and get back into the building business, get back into it. And so in 2004, I sought it back out, started building, started growing again, owned a couple different businesses. And in 2005, Katrina came aboard. And I'll never forget, August 27th, Hurricane Katrina. I had already made some relationships with restoration companies like Jarvis. I met some of their employees, started doing some work with them. What happened was everybody went to the hurricane, left Detroit. I was here in a construction situation where I knew I had a lot of knowledge, and I started doing restoration work. I did some for Jarvis. I did it for other restoration companies. Formed my company in 2006, Construct Team, as one person. So at the time, it was my wife and I. We started the company. And I put my blinders on and I went to work. I figured this is what we're going to do. Obviously, there's so much to the story, but ultimately, I had some basic business knowledge that I knew I knew what to do, and I taught myself, learned, made a lot of mistakes, but figured it out. And Construct Team was born. And each year after that, we grew a little bit each year. By 2010, we had a headquarters in Fraser. I was working out of my home. 2010 headquarters. 2008, I hired my first employee. 2010 headquarters, and then multiple staff after that. And then year after year after year, we are now 18 years. We're very happy. So our 18th birthday was March 8th, I think, 8th or 9th.
Congrats. That's amazing.
And I'm very excited. The business has grown substantially. And
so how many employees do you have now?
I think we have about 15 right now currently. I will tell you, pre-COVID, we had over 30. But we changed how we were doing business back then. We just changed it. After COVID, we decided to make some changes, and that would ultimately reduce the staff.
It's not really a business you can work remote in.
No remote.
No remote, huh? Okay.
No, but it was good. It was a good experience. Everybody's out here.
Some production movement going on here. Sorry.
Got a little
stage
table
hands over here.
Hand moving it.
Anything else? No, the light's back in your face. No, I'm kidding. I don't want to talk about it. We'll just go.
So listen, when I started in this business, my hair was like black. It's no longer black.
It's funny though, because I haven't seen you since we met at Paul's, and I remember you with black hair. You came in today. I said, "Was this?" I thought his hair was black when we met.
No, that's because you stereotyped me. We were at a Italian club.
I don't think I saw you after we left.
Yeah,
honestly, that's funny. So you had mentioned you made a ton of mistakes.
Absolutely.
What were a couple big ones that you remember, or maybe just one big one that you can remember that you fought your way through, got over it, and moved
hired the wrong people.
Okay.
In my initial hiring was hiring the wrong people that didn't see the vision, didn't really want to see our success. They thought that because they were a part of the business in the beginning, that they should have owned the business. Even though they were employees, they felt like they should own it because they were a part in the beginning. Even though we had already been in business 5 years before they even came on board. So those were some of my early mistakes.
They didn't have the same vision. Tell us a little about your vision. What vision did you have for your company? How did that come about?
This is actually a good question. I had a very specific vision, not so much to build the business, to be this mammoth national company. It was never my intention. My intention was to build a business that was a business that I could come home every night, have dinner with my family every night, go to my kids' baseball games, go to their activities, participate in school stuff, all things that my family didn't do. Or they didn't have the opportunity back in the 80s and 90s. We didn't do that stuff, right? So it was really important for me personally to build a company that I could do that. If I built a company that went national, I would be on the road all the time. And I just did that as a consultant, and I didn't want that again. So I built a company. I call it the Goldilocks company. Not too big, not too small, just right.
Is it working out for you?
Yeah, it is. The interesting part is now, my boy came on board. He's doing fantastic. We have a wonderful staff that is eager and wants to see the business grow. And as a result, I have renewed energy to build it to another level.
So, that brings me to a point about your family and business. What's your son's name, and what does he do for the company?
So my son is my namesake. He is Joe Cipriano the third.
The third, okay.
He is the third. I was named after my dad. My dad gave me the junior at the time, and then my son would be the third.
Okay.
So he came on board. Honestly, he started working in the company when he was 13 years old. He'd come to work on weekends in the summer. He would help teams in the field. During high school, he worked summers. Even when he was in college, he came and worked. He worked some really big, catastrophic insurance claims. Learned the business. I think he actually fired a crew when he was like 18 years old. He knows the story. So I don't know where he's at, but he knows the story really well. Yeah.
Oh no, golf simulator. Get back to
Golf
work.
simulator, of course. He's golfing, right? Second generation. That's what the second generation gets to do. I build it. He goes,
That's the Goldilocks company, right? That's the Goldilocks part of it right there.
Yeah. So very simple. He decided. I approached him a few years back, literally just before COVID, and basically said to him, actually, my late father said to me, "Do you think your son would be interested in this company? Do you think he'd want to participate in this? Have you asked him?" And I really didn't, because I didn't really want to pressure him into doing something he didn't want to do, because I felt like my dad pressured me to go into the restaurant business, and I hated it. Didn't want to be a part of it. So I didn't want to pressure him. I just said, you know,
tough business.
Oh, it's a tough business. Still is tough. It's worse now. And he went to school. He graduated, topped his class. He got a, I want to say a business degree, but I think it was in supply chain, minor in sales. And then he ventured into the auto industry, then into product sales for the auto industry. And then at that point, I had approached him to come to the business as, the heir to the family, and see if this is something he wanted to do. And I don't think he certainly didn't say yes right off the bat. He took his time. And frankly, I still don't know if he entirely loves it. But I don't know. He'd have to tell you. But I think he's into it. I think he's doing really, really well, and he's learning. And let me tell you, it wasn't easy. He's had one thing I didn't want to do was stand over him. I said, I'll never be a helicopter dad. I'm not going to helicopter. I'm not going to come in and save your ass. You're going to have to do this. You're going to have to make his way. And he did. And he's doing it.
That's a good way to run a business.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it's not your son, right? I mean, you see these managers these days, the directors, all the way up to the executive level, really over managing and micromanaging their teams and creating a low morale and a really toxic environment throughout the organization. And I see that. I was in corporate America for 20 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's rampant. Obviously, it works to their benefit in some sense. The bigger the company you are, probably the more tightly they rein in kind of that over managing and micromanagement of their employees.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, I did have a hard time releasing. I had a hard time. One of my biggest issues I had was releasing power to my staff. And I
call it letting go.
Yeah.
Spiritual speech.
I used to be accused of, he doesn't know how to delegate. And you would be right. You'd be right about that. I did have a hard time until I learned a little bit each time to give a little bit of that power away. And I will tell you, there's a gentleman here right now who we say he's on his second tour at Construct Team. He came with me about 10 years ago. He's on his second tour, probably a combination of 10 years. And he is now my general manager. And his name's Ken Hefner. He's absolutely phenomenal.
Is this Ken over here?
This is Ken.
Everyone, big round of applause.
Big round of applause.
Ken Hefner, construction general manager.
Ken is doing things that I literally have to force myself not to say a word. I'm teaching myself how to be patient and calm. I also have another amazing. So he's my right hand. My left hand is Emily Hodges, who's our office manager, and together they are working to take away a lot of the craziness that I have to deal with in a day, and they're taking it on. And then they're letting me do what I do best, and that's sales. Working with our clients, developing new business, and getting out there and doing what I need to do.
See you, Paul.
Instead of, hey, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Are you on recording right now?
I sure am. You're now on. You're on. Come say hi. Come say hi.
Hey guys, how are you?
Paul Essa, owner of Smokies, everybody.
Go ahead and golf, enjoy it today and everything, and promote it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
We're charging you.
That's okay. I'll give you my credit card.
Thanks, guys.
See you, Paul. Just put it on Greg's and we'll all get a 10% discount.
So I will tell you.
We'll edit that out.
Just edit it.
That's funny.
Anyway, good, very good stuff. Delegation, big lesson I had to learn as a business owner: how to release, how to do it effectively, and get results.
Well,
And
honestly, even with raising kids, right? Isn't that the kind of go-to? Is letting people fail and letting them learn on their own without constantly, fixing it for them or picking up the pieces, right? We got to let people.
absolutely. I mean, come on. As a father, I will tell you, it was some of the hardest things I had to do was to let my son fail, let him do it wrong. I mean, I had to stop myself, but fortunately, they were really good at picking themselves up, dusting off, and going and moving on. So my oldest boy is very good at that because he was in competitive sports in high school. My second son, Antonio.
I did want to ask you about Antonio because I know that is a pretty cool story there. So
another great story. We have another talented son who is was gifted with an amazing voice and an amazing talent, and we recognized it when he was about 8 years old. Put him into community theater, and he thrived. And we said, there's something in this kid that is amazing. And let's just give him an opportunity to grow. Let's just keep trying it. I know that I know my parents would have never done that. Sorry, Mom. But that would have never happened in the 70s. What do you mean you want to act? What do you mean you want to be in a play? What are you talking about? And maybe I could have, but I certainly didn't try. And the opportunities were not there. Even though I did. I loved, as a matter of fact, I have a love for it. But my son got the opportunity. And I can tell you he was in multiple productions. He went to a school that supported him, and he was given opportunities to be judged. He got adjudicators for his shows and was recognized statewide, won at the state level, then went on to the national level and succeeded very well on the national level competing. And then
now he's a viral TikTok star.
I tell you, he's better than that.
No, I know he is.
Yeah, so he's moved
That's
on.
big, though.
It's big, but he moved on to, at 17 years old, got picked up and recognized to be in the Alanis Morissette Jagged Little Pill musical on Broadway. So this kid at 18 years old was performing in New York City on Broadway. And obviously there's a long story behind that too, but the bottom line is hard work, dedication, the training, and let me tell you, that industry is full of rejection.
Oh my God.
Full of rejection. And and no matter how good he is, he still goes up against very difficult competition. And he currently lives in Manhattan, and he's taking care of himself. So that's a success.
And he's got a movie coming out with Robert De Niro, right?
Yeah,
Is that something you can talk about, or is that?
I don't really have much to say other than
I mean, that's big time.
it's it is actually. So he was on Broadway. Then he did a TV show for Disney's National Treasure. It was called Edge of History. It was like a takeoff from the big movies with Nick Cage. That lasted a season, and then he went on and did Harlan Corbin's Shelter on Amazon, which was great. That was another season. May 9th this year, he will be in Pretty Little Liars. It launches on HBO Max. And then he did a movie with De Niro. And so he's gradually developing, growing, and doing different things in the music world, recorded many albums. So he's done a bunch of different things and really doing well.
What a special family you have, Joe. That's amazing.
I do. But I have one more special.
Your daughter.
I got one more special little lady. It's my daughter, her name Ava Grace, and she is graduating from Michigan State, April 26th, right around the corner. We're going to be watching her walk down.
What's she studying?
Walk with her class. I believe it's in advertising, marketing, and she's done really well. I think she's grown a lot through college. I think it's really helped her, and now she's getting ready to meet the real world.
Well, looks like you found your next big hire.
Listen. If she would work with me, I'd take it, but I don't think she's coming to her pop. No,
I think team could. There's room for growth in the marketing area, right?
I would love it, but I don't think she's coming to me.
Okay. She's like, Dad, no.
You never know. You just never know. Everything changes, right?
Yeah.
It's about the only thing I can guarantee.
Give her a taste of the real world, and she'll come crawling back. Don't worry.
She's smart. She's observant. She's got a good head on her shoulders, and she will do exceptionally well in life just because she's got the gene. She's got the gene. Her mom has good genes. Her dad has good genes, and she's going to do well.
That's great. Well, that's an amazing story, all of that. Really good stuff, Joe. So I want to get in a little to Construct Team. I know you do property restoration.
Yes.
I don't know if a lot of people know what that really is or what that means. The general audience out there, potentially. I know when people need it, they're calling you. Then they know what it means. Give us an idea of what your business is, how you guys run your business, and give us an idea of some of the highlights you've seen throughout the years in your business.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's a big swath of information.
Mm-hmm.
But let me tell you, when I talk about restoration, a lot of people think I'm restoring old houses, like this old house, right? Or I restore cars. They don't quite understand what insurance restoration means. So I usually use a really great metaphor that says, if a tornado came down your street and took out everything, you would call our company to help you manage, organize, and put it back together. So, and people get that. They're like, oh, that's what you do? Fire, water, storm damage, all levels, all perils, right? We handle. And it has, if one thing that helps with this industry is that Mother Nature does not discriminate. Mother Nature does not know there's a recession, does not know the economy's in the tank, does not know, doesn't know. When there's a storm, there's a storm. If there's a fire, there's a fire. And that is what keeps our business fueled during good times and bad.
Is it a lot of insurance business?
Primarily, it is insurance.
Okay.
Yeah, it's primarily insurance. However, we not only do insurance work, we do renovations. So commercial, residential, we do build outs. Like, for example, if this cigar bar needed to be rebuilt, we would rebuild it. So we could do anything, really. Our one of the things I've done as a company is we've opened our net to more services. So we said, if we can do this type of work, let's just widen our net a little bit more, and to be able to do more types of work, more types of services that our customers can benefit from. For example, commercial. If a tornado comes in and wipes everything out from the parking lot to the carport to the buildings to the roof to the trees, I can fix it. So why don't I offer those services without a tornado? They all need to be done anyway.
Sure.
So that's how I widen the net, maintained our business during good times and bad. We're able to do all kinds of services where I just don't pigeonhole the company to just insurance. So we do more than just insurance.
Is it a pretty saturated market?
You know,
A lot of competition.
I'm going to age myself here, but if you looked in the yellow book, yellow pages,
Yellow page.
you would see hundreds of restoration companies, hundreds of them. But we rarely come into contact with each other. We rarely come into contact.
Rarely compete.
Yeah, we rarely compete. I have lots of competitors.
How is that? Explain that to me. How are you not running into your competitors out there? Is it a network set up strategically so that kind of doesn't happen through insurance channels?
No. I truly believe that the reason why we don't compete constantly with them, one, because we provide a service that's almost unmatched in our business. We do things that other companies don't. We take our service to a different level. Prime example. When a company in our business gets a phone call for a fire, they'll go to that fire with like there's a stake, like they're so excited to go sell a fire. Meanwhile, they might answer the phone, they might go to the loss and say, they're ready to throw a contract in front of somebody's face. Well, we don't do that. When we go and we talk to a client, we say, did anybody get hurt? Do you have enough clothes? Do you have food? So we show compassion. We're not there. I don't care if my staff signs that contract that day. It doesn't bother me at all. As a matter of fact, these people just lost valuables. They may have lost a pet. They may have lost a family member. You're stepping on a very difficult ground when you walk into a project like that. So we're very careful. So we don't go in with a raw steak like we're so excited. We go in and we make sure that the customer has what they need. That's the difference, right?
Where the rubber hits the road with that is in real time. You see a lot of companies really pushing that kind of culture throughout their sales channels. We sell empathetically, we have compassion in almost any industry, right? You see that a lot. And where the rubber really hits the road is when you have a customer and how that actually plays out with your customer.
Yeah.
So what are some ways that you guys are continuing that culture through your partnership or relationship with your new customers after the sale?
So once we get the sale, you're saying, how do we maintain it and grow it from there?
Through that compassion and empathy of your customers, really putting your money where your mouth is.
By doing what you say you're going to do, even if it hurts. That's actually the culture of our company. That's the bottom line of our mission statement. Do what you say you're going to do, even if it hurts. And I will tell you, I have some staff that are in this room that made some mistakes. But I said, you're going to do what you say you're going to do. You said you were going to do it. You didn't charge for it. You didn't get enough money for it, but you're going to go ahead and do it anyway. And we're going to eat it. And we're going to develop the goodwill with the client. And we're going to do that all the way through the job. We always make our clients feel like they're first in line, right? We don't constantly tell our clients, oh my God, I got 10 people I have to get to before you. No, it's not part of our culture. Our customers, we make them feel like they're first in line. They're the most important person of the day. And we never let them know that there are so many people waiting to get service. There's one that's sitting over here. Yes. Did you ever feel like you were waiting for me? Always. And you would never know we have 80 projects under construction, right? Never know that because I never let you feel that, right? That takes very good skills, how to manage your time, manage your stress, right? I feel like that's the skill. That's really the skill, is to be able to, how do you manage your day-to-day? How do you get through all these people? How do you manage all these people on a day-to-day basis? So we spend a lot of time on that in our office with our teams. Organize. Ken and I, when things get really busy, we convert our conference room to a war room. We call it our war room. And we put all of our projects up on the board. And we each help each other. How are we going to manage 50 projects that just came in during a catastrophic losses? Big storm, tornado. I mean, they come in so fast. How do we make these people feel like we actually are going to help them? And we use words like triage. We try to explain people that we're like the doctor when a bomb goes off and 100 people come into your emergency room. We're going to save the people who are dying. We're going to stop the bleeding, right?
Literally.
We're going to put a bandage on you, and then we're going to move on to the next person. And we organize based on severity, right? With good communication, solid communication, your customers will understand, especially during a catastrophic losses.
Yeah.
Just be honest, be transparent. You don't have to lie. And a lot of our young people today feel the need to give answers to things they don't know what the hell they're talking
They
about.
don't know.
They have
Isn't
no
that
idea.
the thing with a lot of salespeople, right? Is that they just are afraid to say, I don't know. It's a really special trait to have.
Absolutely.
And it actually builds really good customer relationships. If you can be vulnerable and say, I don't know, that is a critical relationship builder there. They will already right there have faith and trust in your services. They don't want a sales guy out there, right, who knows everything about everything and has an answer for everything. That's just not a good environment. And a lot of times that builds a distrust with the customer or your prospect. And, I've been in situations and seen it a million times where, people are over promising and under delivering, and companies are taking a loss, especially in times of distress. You're talking about, there's, you guys are probably slim on some of your margins as it is, especially during, these times where there's, natural disasters happening.
Absolutely.
And now you got to take losses because of a sales guy made a mistake at the customer level. That's pretty rough. And it really just comes from a place of insecurity and not really understanding or knowing the environment you're speaking into. Would you agree?
I do. And when you say to a customer, I don't know that answer, it's a good question. I always say it's a great question. Next answer to that is, I know somebody who will have the answer. I can get the answer for you. And people will respect that. But giving them a false answer or thinking listen, we live in the world at the speed of snap, I call it. Speed of snap. Everybody, the phone, social media, answers. We got to have answers. People will be okay with that answer. But most traditionally younger people don't have the patience to get the right answer. And that is something we instill in our staff. You have the knowledge in the company to get the knowledge. You don't have to answer that question.
I would even go one step further. And now we're talking a little about some sales methodologies at the customer level, is kind of playing stupid even can be to your benefit as a salesperson in letting them know that I don't really know. I'm going to have to find out. I might not even know who knows the answer. I don't even know if we can do this. I don't know if we can help you. I mean, these are ways that you can kind of leverage that mystique in the sales process. Where they
Absolutely.
can say, okay, this guy is really being honest with me. I don't know if they can help me. They don't know if they can help me, but he's going to get the people and the resources needed to give us that answer.
Yeah.
And then that's when you can create that executive bridge or more, executive alignment with your organizations. Now Joe has to come in. He's the guru of property restoration, and you're bringing the executive into the conversation to answer some of these sensitive topics about the job site. And now they have the guy who has the answer. So they're leveraging it as more of a partnership and relationship than a sales
Absolutely.
guy trying to sell them something.
Absolutely. And go ahead.
There's just nothing more frustrating than, a salesperson, at the customer level promising something that doesn't exist or that they can't deliver on. And I've seen it a lot, especially being in the technology space for a lot of years, where we may have an all hands call with product, and they're pushing this new technology that we're going to be releasing in 6 months, and now all of a sudden every sales guy's selling that on the phone the next day.
Yeah.
As something that we offer. And I've seen that a million times. If people are listening on LinkedIn and say, well, that doesn't happen in our company. Yes, it does. It happens all the time. And, sales guys can really overpromise and underdeliver. They have a quota. There's a lot of stress and pressure on the sales guys, and they need to push these deals. And a lot of it really does it's rooted in kind of a lack of faith in your product.
Yeah.
Right. You have to figure out a way to believe in your company, believe in the process, and believe in your product. Because I'll tell you that the problems you're having, whatever industry, whatever market, whatever vertical you're in, your competitors are having the exact same problem.
Absolutely.
Or more, right?
Absolutely.
So, and they're probably telling a different story, and they're probably not pushing their narrative of compassion and empathy, but we have to believe in our product, whether it's sales training, property restoration. It's very important that we lead with that expertise as well. And it is good also to have answers. I'm not saying don't have any answers for your customers, right? Because I always talk about leading with expertise.
Sure.
Customers are looking for an expert. We're so inundated with information, AI, everything's at our fingertips. So they're not looking to really come in and, have a 2-hour conversation about their needs when you should already know it,
True.
So we have to lead with a vulnerable humility that also speaks from a place of expertise in that space.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, I'm gonna flip this script a little bit, because our sales have changed a little bit since COVID. Our customers, I don't want to say necessarily they've gotten smarter, but they've become more knowledgeable about DIY, right? Doing it yourself. DIY? Did I say that right? Do it yourself? Okay.
So DIY.
DIY.
Equity and inclusion.
So I don't know. Anyway, what our customers today are starting to come to the table with, I got a guy, I got this, I know how to do this, I want to do this part of the job. And they do this to us a ton, and they never used to like this. It's getting worse. So since COVID, where people were home, they were doing their own projects. The dawn of YouTube, everybody has become an expert. They become an expert. I know how to do everything. I can paint. I can hang cabinets. I can do this. So now everybody's a doctor, and they can save themselves. Everybody's a builder, and they can build their own damn houses. And we run into this a lot. So where our challenges come now is having to navigate through all of this new knowledge that they have. And when I say we'll do a project where we like to do every aspect of the project. I hate it when a customer says to me, I got a guy, or I can do it myself. I need you to do 4 parts of the project when there's 8 parts. Okay. It really messes with us because that's not how our system works. You know, if you, I'll never forget this. I was with a gentleman right here in Birmingham, big house, smart guy, works for General Motors, top guy. And he said to me, he goes, yeah, I got a guy for this and this. I want you to do this and this. And it really doesn't even make sense in my industry to break up that skill set. So I looked at him and I said, how often do you go to a car dealership and say to the car dealership, let's just say, you know, you go to a General Motors car dealership and you're going to buy one of the GM products and you say, hey, can you deliver that car without the rubber? Can you just bring it on the rims? So that, because I got a guy to put the tires on. Cheaper. He's going to save me money on the tires. They're going to laugh at you and tell you to walk out the door. Okay. That's not how it works. So when I said that to him, he got it. He
Talk
goes
to me a little about, you know, turning down business, right? You know, I hear it a lot. And I was actually having a conversation today about it with some people in a meeting earlier today about how sometimes turning down business is the most beneficial play at that moment, even if they want to move forward and you're just not a good fit. Can you talk a little about that?
Absolutely. There's two types of business I'll turn down. One, you're going to laugh. One, that I want their business. And the second one is the one I don't want their business. Okay. The first one is when I'll negotiate and they will try to beat me down, but I know I have the leverage. I'll say no and I'll walk out the door. It is the best technique I've ever had. Ask the closing question. If it doesn't work, leave. End the subject. First person that talks after that loses anyway. So that's one type. Okay. I've learned that. That's a Brian Tracy skill I learned a long time ago. So the first person that talks after you ask the closing question usually loses the job. But the next one is, we know at the phone call, when the call comes in, whether we are going to have problems with that job instantly. And I'll be careful how I say these things. I listen to the words they use. You know, we can hear by certain words if they're just looking for an estimate to waste our time. You know, I need an estimate for my insurance company. Well, I don't work for free. You know, we don't work for free. Estimates cost money. My software costs $20-some thousand a year. So I can't just give free estimates. But they're like, oh no, we want to give you the job, but we need it for the insurance company. I'm like, no, you don't. That's not exactly how this works.
So how are you guys breaking over that barrier right there? Explain that to us.
So we usually like to go meet with them. We don't like to do it over the phone. We encourage at least a conversation. That's how we get past it.
In person.
In person. Yeah. None of this phone call stuff. No. If they don't want to meet you, they don't want your business. They don't want to meet your business. So we make a point. Ken is really good at this. We say, listen, why don't you give us 10 minutes, come over, explain the process to you. And if our process doesn't make sense, we fully understand and we'll go our own ways. But give us an opportunity to see how we can be of value to you to get what you want in your claim.
And I like to use that as a qualifier also, to also add to that to say, but if it does work and we align and have cohesive, you know, partnership opportunities here, then, you know, we can look at implementing this after our conversation.
Absolutely.
Right.
Well, we always do that because we have a work authorization that we have to get signed to even communicate with an insurance company. So we need that document. Otherwise, we're not going to move forward. So yes, that's the closing question. We need this document to help you move forward to get what you have coming in your claim. And we educate the homeowner on this. And I can tell you, it can go a number of ways. It can go a number of ways.
Education is key. That's why they're calling you.
Yeah.
That's why you're there, to teach them.
Absolutely.
To lead
But
with
you-
your expertise.
But I'll tell you, when you're in the qualifying stages of the phone call, we can hear if they just want a free estimate. We can hear if they're not really going to use us. We've learned after 18 years, we know the words that they're saying over the phone that trigger us instantly not to move forward. And
Sure.
one, if they don't invite us to the house, how am I going to give you a quote? I can't do it
Deal
over the
killer.
phone. I have
Yep.
to see it. You know, if they won't let me talk to their insurance company, that's another trigger. Oh, you cannot talk to my insurance company. Okay, but that's how we're going to do. That's our value. Well,
Sure.
you probably have 30% less in your claim by not talking to us and letting us help you. Nope, you can't talk to my adjuster. We instantly know this is just a play for an estimate because they just want to take the money and run. And that's some of the challenges we have as a business today, post-COVID. Post-COVID, it's gotten worse. It never used to be this bad. It's much worse now.
Is it because of the kind of 6 foot distance, masks, all that type of thing, where no one wants to have face to face?
No, I think people, for some reason, seem to know more about how insurance claims work, and they think they hit the lottery.
Okay.
They just want to keep the money. Maybe it's a money thing. I think it's more money than anything. They want to keep the money.
Well, yeah,
do it
and,
themselves.
I mean, you can't really give them a quote on something that isn't true either. I know
Yeah.
that we had a tree fall on our house after a huge lightning strike, and it really impacted our house in a negative way. And we can't get an honest quote without someone coming out. Obviously, for our insurance, they're not just going to write us a check for $20,000, without someone coming out, right?
Yeah.
And so, are you guys going up against? You're not really running into competitors at that level.
We see them. Yes, we see them. But I will tell you, our reputation for our business supersedes a lot of our competitors. Listen, our Google reviews, our 5-star reviews are off the charts. We have a lot of success with our projects, and typically we do rise up over our competition from that perspective. And as a result, we usually win the bid when the homeowner is educated about who's at their home, when they know who's there. They've done their research. They pick up their phone, right? They look. They'll read the reviews. They see if there's any issues with them. They look at us. They look us up on the state website. See if my builder's license has anything against it. They check the Better Business Bureau. So we win when that is a process they follow. We win just about every time.
Is there anything that you guys are doing from the initial point of contact before you meet with them in person that you're kind of warming them up to you? Any kind of outbound kind of communication with the customer prior to going on site? So the call comes in, you talk to them. We want a quote on the phone. No, we're going to meet you in person. Okay, we'll schedule it for next week. And then you have a week in between there that you can potentially use to warm them up to who you are.
We do it all the time.
Tell us a little about that.
We either send them information on our company. We encourage them to go online, read our reviews. If they would like to have anything sent to them prior to our meeting, letters from clients, you want references of our clients, we can send them to you. We have clients that have said, please share my name, share my phone number with a client. I'll gladly give you a referral. We do this well in advance many times. But the good news is, in today's world, many people check you out before they call you. It's a different world we live in. My marketing company says 80% of all my leads. Yeah, 80% of the leads are coming in on this phone right here. They're going on the phone, and as a result, they're looking at your Google reviews. They're looking at your Yelp reviews. They're looking at your social media reviews. I mean, they're looking at all that stuff. It's easy to find.
What percentage of your customers are commercial versus residential?
I will tell you, for many years, it was 80-20. 80 residential, 20 commercial. For 16 years, it is now 60-40. We're turning it a little bit. We're leaning a little more commercial.
Okay.
We like commercial. and we like to do more multifamily, high rise, industrial buildings, commercial buildings. We really enjoy those types of projects as well. But we've developed a reputation for high-end real estate. Our staff is trained.
Residential or
Residential.
Okay.
Yeah, high-end homes. It happened because of my experience in Grosse Pointe. Because I lived in Grosse Pointe for 18 years, we developed a relationship there with many people, a lot of high-end homes, high-end clients, and as a result, referral after referral after referral, and that led to more and more and more. And
it's like you're painting garage doors.
In essence, yes, it blossomed, right?
So we had a luxury real estate guy on last week. His name was Drew Colburn, and that's all he does is commercial and luxury real estate.
Yeah,
and he's got a book of luxury real estate that is just mind-boggling. The stuff he's selling around here. He's a leader in that space. But yeah, it's interesting.
Well, listen, the bottom line is people tell people, right? I can't say enough. Here's another thing that has us stand out. A lot of companies in my field measure their staff quantitatively. Margin, quantitative. I've introduced a qualitative measure.
Let me hear it.
Okay. You got quantitative, margin, qualitative, 5-star Google review. You need to achieve a 5-star Google review. And we're gonna tell our customers up front, this is what we expect. Not that I don't care if you only give 4 stars. Our job is to achieve 5 stars. And this is what it looks like. This is how we do it. We're going to provide you with daily communication updates. Any changes to a schedule, you're going to know about it. Who is going to be the owner of the communication? Is it the husband and the wife? We usually put them together in a text stream. Even if they don't want it, we put them in it. And we explain to them how we're going to achieve this and that what we're going to expect at the end of the job. And I now incentivize my team quantitatively with a margin and qualitative. You don't get the money, you don't get the incentive without a 5-star review. Because if you just get a margin and no happy customer, you're basically front loading the company and we're going to lose business. We lose the opportunity to get more business. So you're not really doing me a service.
Yeah, the biggest thing, and that was kind of what I was talking about earlier, is that after the sales support or during the implementation or deployment of the services, right? So I would say one of the most important things or elements of the entire sales process is follow-up, right?
Absolutely.
And so as you're having that communication prior to the sale, the follow-up, the cadence, the communication is so critical. And that in and of itself is going to be a huge differentiator, right? And then most sales guys you'll see right at the sale, and they never hear from the sales guy again, right? And that might not be how it is with your industry, but a lot of times what you see is there's not really any good kind of quality communication after that. So I think that's where you guys really differentiate yourselves, is having good quality communication during the deployment, after the sale, and continuing that engagement ongoing.
Absolutely. I'm going to give you something else, little something to put in the back pocket here. My general manager is sitting over here, and he does something flawlessly. We've all done it. I train it, but he does it effectively, very effectively. When we have a job that we actually have to compete against our competitors, where they're getting bids from other competitors, and let's just say we lose the job, and I can think of one in particular right here in Birmingham. One of our top competitors got the project. Ken never let the customer go. He basically said, I will be your advocate for free. I will help you with any questions you may have as it relates to the competitor that they hired. If you have any questions, free of charge,
That's a good move.
we will help you. And guess what? That guy called him for a week straight, asking him questions. And Ken, with no reservations, helped him every time. As a result, we secured that project, and the competitor got fired off the job.
Oh yeah,
Now, that is powerful. And we do it all the time. Do it
yeah.
all the time.
And that it can be so tempting when that happens to be, feel jaded about you lost the deal. You're not going to be their provider for the services, and to just never hear from them. I'll call you back in 6 months, and then you're hoping everything goes bad. Well, it won't be bad in 6 months, and you'll wedge yourself out of a customer forever. So that is a very smart move. It's a move that I've used a lot through my career. I really believe that is very powerful. Good for pointing that out. That's amazing. And being that advocate, and being that industry advocate and expert that is not the company they're using, right? And I guarantee you, if you continue that with your customer, you're going to have way more business from that customer, and the partnership's going to be stronger than ever.
Well, I have to tell you, we're really good at knowing who our competitors are. We're really good at knowing who works for our competitors, and we know their weaknesses. As a result, we use it to our advantage, because when we are talking to somebody how we may have lost the job, we basically expose those weaknesses quickly, and they become evident with the client very quickly into the project, in the early days of the project, whether it's implementation, early communication, not being knowledgeable, and frankly, not caring about the job. A lot of our competitors pay their sales team money to sign that contract. And once that contract's signed, they're gone. The customer's like, the salesperson is no longer talking to them.
Yep.
And we don't do it that way. Our people who sell the job stay with the client almost all the way through the project. So it just changes. It just changes. It's a game changer.
And do you know what percentage of your, I guess, leads or customers are coming from inbound or outbound initiatives, from you guys going out and getting new customers, or coming in to you from your website, sales channels, ads, website? Do you have a percentage around that of what?
So I actually do know this question pretty well, because we track this. But I'm not gonna play with percentages. I'm just gonna tell you what we did.
Sure.
Prior to using say Google marketing services, we were heavily associated with what they call programs in our business, insurance programs, where they're the middle party between the consumer and the contractor. They're in the middle, third party. And that third party was taking the project before it came to us. We call them TPAs. And these TPAs, we became kind of reliant on them. As a result, all of our business went through them. And if they were slow, we were slow. So we didn't like that. We stopped our marketing. So I'm going to say 80% of our business was literally 50 to 60% of our business was coming through programs. So we decided
Inbound.
Yeah, inbound. But I built this business word of mouth, referral. That's how I built it.
Outbound.
Somehow I got stuck with these programs, and they're terrible. There isn't any program that exists in this industry that is an advocate for the customer, who is the end user of their product. They're not advocates. They want us to be the bad guy. So we decided to dump them. We shut them off. In 21, we closed them off. Literally, red light. Anybody who's listening that knows what that is, we shut it off. we had morale issues. We had issues with following some of their guidelines because they were just horrible. So we just said, we're done. We're going to change our focus. We went to Google because we get a lot of what do you say, inbound through the phones, right? People are using it like crazy. And I increased my budget tenfold. Not kidding, tenfold. Got rid of the programs and then boosted it through that. Best thing we ever did. And as a result, it has changed our business. Margins have improved, sales have improved, morale is up, versus when we had to deal with the programs making us feel terrible and having to say things to our clients that were just horrifying.
Let me ask you about that. How do you guys measure morale at Construct Team? Is there a way are you taking employee surveys? Or are you talking one-on-one? How are you gauging the morale at your company?
This is going to sound interesting. Pre-COVID, we operated in a very different way. We used to be more rigid, right?
Okay.
Old school. Show up on time. But you think all this stuff is, what I grew up with.
Like your mom.
You didn't do, hard, rigid. We didn't have the relationships. But ever since COVID, I changed things. I lightened up on. Listen, let's face it. We have shit to do. We're parents. We got kids. We got to go places. I had to let people do things with their family. I know that sounds weird, but growing up, my dad, are you kidding? What do you mean you want a day off? It's not going to happen. We decided quality of life today is more important to our staff, our current staff, than really money. Happiness rises up. So we buy more lunches for our team. We break bread together a lot more, just like a family. We do things more together as a company. So we brought people together more like a family. I know this is not measurable really, but I'll tell you what, it is.
There is. I mean, there's a happiness revenue curve.
Oh my goodness! The
more happy an employee is, the higher revenue your company brings in.
Yeah. Guess what? We let dogs come into our showroom. Like, we have a day we can let the dogs come in.
How dare you?
Yeah, we just let the dogs come in. Well, listen, trust me, we got problems with the bathroom issues and all that stuff, but but we let them come in. Listen, nothing better than a good dog hanging out, loving on everybody, kissing on everybody. I bring my dog we have so many pictures of all of our dogs coming to. We used to have a little bit more. It got a little out of hand, but now we have it one day a month. Everybody can bring their dog, kind of like bring your kid to work, They love it. I love it. I love being around it. It makes people happier, right? Breaking bread together makes people happier.
I'm hearing from you, Joe, is that when your employees are happy, they drive better business for your organization.
150%. Because if they're unhappy, they don't want to be there. They don't want to be next to you. They want to get home as quickly as possible. They can't wait to shut the door behind them, right? And, but our staff is willing to pick up the phone 24 hours a day. Our staff is willing to show up early, do the job late if necessary. But when they have something to do, they get to do it. You got to go to your kid's baseball tournament, you're going to your kid's baseball tournament. You have a dance you got to go to. Your kid is a dancer, go to your dance, right? These are things that we are more willing to do than we used to. Much more rigid pre-COVID. I don't know why COVID did it, but that was what happened. We decided to be a little softer, and as a result, it has produced a positive work environment that is really unmatched. And frankly, I like my business better.
Yeah, so you do wear a lot of hats at your company. Obviously, you're the CEO. Absolutely. And you drive the culture, you drive the process, the strategy, the planning, the execution. How do you keep it all together what are you doing in your personal life to keep it all together and to, maintain a level head and serenity about you? If you've ever met Joe, I mean, I'm not in your immediate family, so he is a very level-headed guy, calm guy, kind guy, vulnerable. How do you keep it all together?
I think I've been doing it for so long.
I
It's gotten
need the
easier.
spiritual answer, man. Come on.
I'm
What's the
turning.
spiritual answer. Come on.
I'm turning 54 in a few days, and I will tell you, I think what I've learned is that no problems are permanent. So my levels of stress are lower because I know it will pass. I know this. I have the flag, the
Mhm.
T-shirt that says this shit don't last. It's going to.
I
It's
have one
going.
that says, "This too shall pass."
This too shall pass. And oh, by the way, it does. Listen, look at your life right now. It's not what it was last year. It's different, guaranteed. It's the only thing I can guarantee. So when I walk into a difficult situation, I'm probably the calmest person in the room. Staff could be up here. My young guy, listen, life at the speed of snap. Our young generation is on their phone and they want results instantly. And when they don't get results, they get stressed. If the phone doesn't work, if the computer doesn't make a change in seconds, people just lose their mind. I take a different approach. I guess I've gotten older. I've gotten wiser. I know 10 ways to do it right and 10 ways to do it wrong. So it's true. It's just true because you can tell me every possible scenario and I'll have an answer for it to some level, to some degree. I also know that success breeds superstition. I am very careful with saying to one of my staff, it won't work. That won't work. We've done that before. I'm very careful because I believe that there's more than one way to skin a cat, right? Maybe it didn't work for me. Maybe they have a better approach. And some of my young guys and my young staff are pretty sharp. They know some stuff. My son is bright. Kid knows stuff. He knows technology a little bit better than I. Although I feel like I'm pretty good. I've learned it pretty well. But he's just better. He's
Besides the
2.0.
headphones.
Yeah. We figured this out. We figured it out. But he's better. He's just genuinely better. But you know what I'm better at? I'm better at managing the challenges that come at me, right? I know how to navigate my ship through the sharp rocks of reality, okay?
Wow.
And that's a big deal, right? So that my young staff struggles with that because of social media, because there's so much going on in the world, right? We could talk about the news. There's so much going on in the world. There's so many people on the phone every day telling everybody how rich they can be in 2 days. And this week, you'll be a millionaire by Friday,
Oh, and by the way, aliens exist, and O.J. Simpson died, and,
Yeah, there's so much
crumbling, right?
So I think I've lived long enough to know when I see bullshit.
Yeah.
I have a great story about how bullshit will get you to the top, but it won't keep you there. And that is something that I work with my team. Listen, Bitcoin is a lifestyle, but man, some of my guys, they live for it, right? The cryptocurrency, they're all going crazy. Investing in stocks, they're all going crazy. So I have to somehow find a delicate balance between the new technology of the world and then real world situations and try to help them stay focused, and advancing without constantly jumping all over the place because they lose focus.
Yeah, that's great stuff.
They lose focus fast.
That's great. I appreciate that. Hey, tell me a little about your future vision of your company for the future. Any big plans you got going for Construct Team?
So I have some plans I can tell you about, and some I can't. Some are quiet. Some are quiet right now. We're not entirely sure, but we've because of the young blood in our company, because of the young success in our company, they want more, right? And as a result of that, we're looking at ways to make Construct Team more obtainable reachable to more people and more entrepreneurial people that want to be involved in the trades. So we're looking for ways to expand constructing where more people can be involved entrepreneurially with our company.
I won't say the keyword.
So there's a lot of ideas that are working with us right now.
Wow. Okay.
And it's only because we have a very strong young team, and they want more. So we're going to see if there's a way that we can open the door so they can expand and fly in a different generation that I flew in, right?
Sure. Well, we're kind of wrapping up on we're kind of wrapping up on time. Any last words you want to give us today, Joe? I really appreciate you being here for us. And if there's anything you want to leave us with, now's your chance.
There's so many, in terms of quotes and things, but I can tell you that to any young person, middle-aged, older, I think it's in your moments of decision that your destiny is shaped. What you do today will impact you, will be your reality, a month, day, week, year. So focus on those decisions, be solid, and grow. But make some.
Yeah, that's the key piece.
Don't
Make
jump
the
around.
decision. Make the decision, right?
Yeah.
Even if it's bad, even if it turns out not good.
Absolutely.
That's great. Well,
So
thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time today. And we're really looking forward to seeing how you guys grow. And thanks, everybody. And let's give Joe a big round of applause.
Woo! We had a great audience here today.
Yeah, great cigars, too.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. And we'll go ahead and end the live stream with that. Everyone
Awesome.
have
Thank
a wonderful day, and we'll talk soon. Bye, everybody.
Perfect. Thank you. Bye-bye.